Hey guys, this is the mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today. I wanted to quickly share my thoughts about the update in the custody situation between Martell and Melody. And I'm talking about this because there's so many women going through this, and there are so many women who believe that when a man fights for custody or he fights to be with his kids, it automatically means that he is a good father. It means that he loves his children. That is not always the case. I don't think that Martell doesn't love his kids. I think he loves them, but they're very useful for him, okay? So apparently Melody won the custody battle, and I guess they're still going to be sharing custody of the kids 50-50, okay? So I don't think Martell is unhappy about this. I think he's actually relieved about this. If he was serious about getting custody of his children, his lifestyle would have matched what he was trying to do. He would have adjusted his lifestyle to accommodate being the full-time custodial parent of 4 children, okay? I'm going to assume he does not have his builder's license yet, right? And I'm going to assume that the Love and Marriage Huntsville show is his primary source of income, which is not a bad thing. I'm sure he makes upwards of 6 figures a year to take care of 5 children. That's fine. But the fact that Martell is not fighting for custody of his 5th child as hard as he is for the 4 children he has with his ex-wife, to me indicates that it's not about the kids. It is about Martell sticking it to Melody. It is about Martell forcing Melody to go through this ordeal, put her through stress, make her anxious, make her have to answer to an authority, which would be him because he's the one who filed the suit, right? He's the one who filed for custody. So now she has to meet his needs. It's about an energy extraction. So now that I can't get her to have sex with me, I can't get her to argue with me, I can't get her to cry over me anymore, I'm going to do something to hurt her. I need to do something to get some supply from her, okay? And that would be this custody battle, which is frivolous. Wouldn't it make more sense for Martell to fight for full custody of his 1 child with Ariane than to fight for full custody of 4 children whose mother has more financial resources than Ariane does? Why isn't he focusing on that 1 child he has with her? Because like many narcissists, I believe that Martell is using those 4 kids for clout. Narcissists do not like taking on extra responsibilities unless those responsibilities make them look good. Okay, a narcissist is not going to inconvenience himself by having full custody of those children unless those kids make him look good or they're benefiting him in some way financially. Women do the same thing. Okay, some women will take full custody of their children knowing good and damn well they're not good mothers and they have no intention of being nurturing, loving, affirming, and protective of those kids. It's just about the clout and the status. I'm a good daddy. I fought for my kids. I love my kids. Martell, in my opinion, and I'm speculating here, I think he's relieved because didn't he come to court unprepared before, right? If you are serious about this, why are you coming to court unprepared to take full custody of these kids? This is like Martell saying, I'm going to study for the builder's license. And we have a whole show, a whole episode that is talking about him getting a tutor and how hard he's going to work and all this other stuff. And months later, we hear nothing about it. Now, I don't know if he got the license or not. I have no idea. But the fact that he went on TV to act as if he was working really hard to do something, he just wanted credit for the appearance and the illusion of doing that work. It wasn't about the work itself, right? The same thing with the wine business. It was just about launching the business to look like an entrepreneur instead of doing the work to build a business from the ground up, okay? I read somewhere that Martell's wine is like an overpriced version of some sort of convenience store wine, right? He didn't do the work himself to find distributors or market for his wine. Like when Marcel and Tisha did their chocolate wine situation they had a venue to sell the wine. They had a lounge, restaurant, bar situation where they could sell their own product to their own customers. They established a customer base. Who was Martell's customer base? The audience. I mean, that may work to an extent, but you need a consistent, well-established and loyal clientele. And if you're going to a restaurant, you're going to have drinks. And if the food is good, then you're going to come back for more. You're going to have repeat customers. So that increases the likelihood of your wine selling more. Martell, in my opinion, just put out this wine because Marcel put out a wine, or because Melody has something coming out and he wanted to say, I'm doing something too. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with trying things out and seeing what sticks. But this is a pattern for Martell, and Martell likes the illusion or the appearance of being a boss, just like he likes the illusion and the appearance of being the dominant parent. Remember that? He couldn't just be a co-parent with his wife. He couldn't be partner. No, I have to be the dominant parent. I have to be the head of the household. I have to get most of the credit. Okay? So even though I don't want most of the responsibility, I want most of the credit. So Martell does not want most of the responsibility of taking care of those children. 4 kids, because he doesn't want most of the responsibility of taking care of one child by himself. Didn't Ariane complain about Martell not seeing his 5th child as much as he was seeing the 4 other children, right? Yet he has this whole photo op competing with Melody, stealing her idea, and having those children all together on equal footing, as if he's treating them equally when he's not. It's about the photo ops. It's the optics and the illusion of being a present parent, okay? Of being the dominant parent, of being a good father. I don't think Martell wanted full custody of his kids in the first place. I think he was relieved when he lost the case. I think he sabotaged it on purpose. You know, even though he didn't have a case, I think he made it easier for the judge to rule in Melody's favor. And so in the future, when he does more fuck shit to Melody, right, he can say, well, I'm not a bad father because I fought for my kids. I wanted custody of my children. He's going to use this custody battle for future equity. Okay, when he does more disrespectful things to Melody, or if he does something to harm those children, which I'm not saying he's doing that now, but in the future, if he does harm his children, he's going to use this, I fought for custody for you guys, that's how much I love you, to justify whatever mistreatment he may inflict on his kids, whether it's emotional abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, etc. And I'm not saying he's doing that now, but I know how narcissists operate, right? And if you guys remember, Melody was really angry last year when Martell posted a picture of him and Sugar Mama on her first day of school while talking about his 5th child who was illegitimate, right? So Melody got triggered and upset by that because she knew that Martell was using her baby to hide his indiscretions with another woman. That's what the photo op was for. So I'm a good daddy. Let me smile like I'm a good daddy with my baby girl who I wanted to hire a nanny to watch. Let me have her on my lap, right? In this photo, I'm smiling. She was giving him the side eye, right? And act as if I'm father of the year while I'm announcing or publicly acknowledging for the very first time my illegitimate 5th child, who I am hiding, right? Who I've been hiding, but he wants to be perceived as a good daddy. So he's going to use Sugar Mama's face and her beauty and her innocence to minimize the verbal, psychological, emotional, and mental abuse I was inflicting on my ex-wife. So let me use my baby, right, with my ex-wife who I don't respect, to hide my dirt or to make my dirt look less dirty by announcing for the first time my 5th child in public. And then he wants to receive full credit for that. See, I take care of all my kids. I acknowledge all my kids. But you're only going to acknowledge that 5th child if you can hide them behind the innocence of the 4 beautiful children that were conceived during your marriage while you were cheating the whole time. So it's about optics and illusion for him. He did not want to win this case. He had no intention of doing so because the responsibility and the burdens were not going to be worth the social capital that he would receive for doing this. You know why? Because most people would think that he was being an asshole for taking full custody away from a mother who was loving, generous, supportive, affirming, and doing the best she can to take care of her children. He's going to look like the bad guy, and he's going to have more responsibilities and burdens. He's going to have 4 kids to take care of by himself. So Martell winning this custody case would have been an L for him. It would have been a double-edged sword because 1, the public vitriol would be even worse against him. Number 2, having custody of 4 kids would cramp his style, right? He wouldn't be able to gallivant around town with multiple women, going to different cities and having fun. He would have a whole lot less freedom and a whole lot more financial responsibility, right? A lot less time, a lot more responsibility, less money to play around with, because unless he sued money for child support, which would make him look even worse. So the L's would pile up to the point where Martell wouldn't even be able to enjoy the Pyrrhic victory of snatching his 4 children from their loving, doting, supportive, financially successful mother. On top of that, if he wants to get married again, he's going to have to find somebody who's willing to take care of those 4 kids. What if his new wife wants more kids? What if his new wife has her own kids? Now we have 4, 5, 6, 7 children in one family. I mean, it can be done, but again, those kids are going to cramp Martell's style. You can see now how Martell's not really prepared to take custody of 4 children because of his mentality. He's not mature. Yes, he can have a village and help like Melody does. That's fine. But I think that ultimately over time, as a narcissist, and I'm speculating here, he may end up resenting the children more if he has them full time because of all the sacrifices he would have had to make for them. I mentioned earlier that narcissists do not like to be inconvenienced unless they're benefiting from it financially or socially. Martell would not benefit from taking full custody of those kids financially or socially. He will have less disposable income. Even if Melody is paying child support, he'll still have less disposable income because now he won't be able to work as much, right? I'm assuming he's going to be on the show for a while, but there are less opportunities to be an entrepreneur if you are going to be a father who is as present as Martell says he's going to be. Melody has to hire a lot of help because she's trying to build a brand and successful businesses so that her children can inherit them and they don't have to work as hard as she does. Okay, so for Martell to be on that same grind, he's going to have to do what Melody did, but he was complaining about that. So his mama's not going to want to raise those kids full-time by herself. She's going to probably resent Martell for putting this responsibility on her too. If you guys remember in season 2, Miss Marlene was adamant about not being the step-parent to Martell and Melody's children. She was like, I did my time, I raised my kids, it's all good. You chose to do this. You chose to cheat. You chose to destroy your family. Take care of your business. You wanted a big family. You wanted 4 kids. You had 5 kids. You couldn't even handle 4, but you made 5, right? Now, do what you got to do. Don't ask me for help beyond what I'm willing to give voluntarily, okay? So anyway, yes, this is why I believe that Martell is happy that the custody battle did not go in his favor because he didn't intend for it to happen in the first place. He just wanted to stick it to Melody. He wanted to look like he's a good, loving, doting, supportive father who will fight for his children, and he may use this custody battle against his children in the future, especially if he's treating them the way they don't want to be treated for whatever reasons. He's going to use this custody thing to say, you have no right to disrespect me. I've always loved you. I've always treated you well. I even fought to have full custody of you. Blah, 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 blah. That's how much I love you. So you have no right to complain about anything that I have done. Okay? Again, I'm speculating. I'm not saying this is happening now. I'm not saying this is going to happen for sure in the future. But I wouldn't be surprised if it did. And many women who have dealt with narcissists know what I'm talking about. I have seen this happen in real life, right? Men pretending to want their children. I'm a good father. I'm a good dad. And I want my kids. And as soon as they get the child, they drop them off with the girlfriend or the grandma, and they go around town trying to find another babysitter because they know they're not going to be committing to the girlfriend who's currently taking care of the child. So they got to find another placeholder, another surrogate mother. And then these men typically get married really quickly. If you guys notice, men who have full custody of their kids, a lot of time they get married fast, okay? Or they get remarried quickly. They need a full-time babysitter for their child. And that's what happens. A lot of women do the same thing, but unfortunately, you cannot coerce a man into marrying you just because. Men are in charge of marriage and women are in charge of sex. It is what it is. So, yeah, a lot of women, they use their boyfriends to watch their children, just like a lot of men use their girlfriends or their wives to watch their children with another woman. It happens, okay? So I don't think, again, Martell intended to win this custody battle because if it was all about the kids, he could start off with the one child he has with Ariane. That one child. Only one little boy. That's it. And to me, it seems like Ariane will be more than happy to give Martell full custody or primary custody or even split custody, shared custody of the baby. She complained about him not seeing the baby enough or as much as the other children. So I'm sure she would accommodate him if he wanted to have custody of his 5th child. I don't think he wants that either. Okay, it's not about that. Unfortunately, Knox cannot give Martell the clout and the esteem and the social capital that his 4 children with Melody can give him. And this is going to be a karmic battle that unfortunately the 5th child will have to deal with. Feeling invisible, feeling like a pariah, feeling like an outcast by his own family because of the way he was conceived. I'm hoping that's not the case, but it usually is in these situations. And those children sometimes become really successful, which I'm hoping for Knox, right? Because a lot of children who feel like the black sheep or outcast or invisible or worthless, they usually fight really hard to be seen, to be successful. And I think that is kind of what motivates Melody to be as driven as well, because she was this way from a very young child. And so from a very young child, I think that she wanted to be seen by her father. I think her mother even said that she did not want Melody to pay for her mistake or her father's indiscretion, something like that. So she pushed Melody to be seen, to be a performer, to do well in school, to excel, right? To be a good representative of the family. That shaped her identity. And I believe that's also going to shape Knox's identity. How he's going to deal with that, it depends on the circumstances and the environment that he's in. But, you know, he's going to have to deal with this for a lifetime because he inherited this karma from his parents. So to close it out one last time, Martell did not want custody of those 4 kids. As I said before, he wanted custody of Melody and her life. He wants to control her while taking credit for everything that she's doing, right? Like a vampire, okay? I'm the dominant parent. I'm the head of the household. I'm the primary breadwinner, right? This is my house, etc., etc., etc. You know, and like I said before, when I talked about when Melody and Martell were separated and the children were sleeping on air mattresses because Martell did not want to sacrifice his ego, right, and his pride enough to give his children their own damn furniture. What would make you think that he's willing to sacrifice his entire life, his lifestyle, his finances, his access to women, his freedom for those 4 kids? He can't even do it for 1 child, much less 4. So this is how you know it's bullshit, and this is how you know that Martell was never serious about getting full custody of his children. And a lot of women who are married or divorced or single mothers dealing with baby daddy issues, you know what I'm talking about. These people, some parents may act like they love their children and they want custody of their children, but that's just to get at the parents. That's just to punish the mother or the father for doing whatever they did during the marriage or for having the audacity to leave an abusive situation. This happens all the time. So I'm not impressed by Martell's performative gestures to get custody of his children, okay? That means nothing to me. I think he's relieved. I'm happy that things were in Melody's favor, and hopefully this ruling marks the end of this particular narcissistic abuse cycle. It's going to continue. There is no reason why this should last as long as it has. The fighting and the strife between Martell and Melody should be over by now, right? It shouldn't have lasted as long. It shouldn't have started in the first place. But because Martell is very petty and he feels like Melody got one over on him by filing for divorce, which he believed that she planned. It's almost like he thinks that she sabotaged their relationship and sacrificed his reputation in order for her to build her brand, which is not true because everybody can see how hard Melody fought to stay with Martell. She even took him back after finding out he was cheating for 2 years and had another baby by him. How much more loyalty do you need? Okay, so it's not about that. Martell just wants an excuse to be angry with Melody because he took an L and he has no control over his golden goose anymore. That is all. He doesn't want to have control over Ariane. Not anymore, because the only value she had was hurting Melody. And now that she can't do that anymore because Melody doesn't give a damn, she has her own life, Ariane is no longer an asset to him. So now she's going to be downgraded from a girlfriend to a homie to now an enemy, okay? Or at the very least, an angry baby mama, right? She's crazy. She's angry. She's bitter, whatever the case may be. But he was manipulating her this entire time. He won't take responsibility for that either. So it's never going to be his fault. The divorce isn't his fault. Having a baby out of wedlock wasn't his fault. And his contentious relationship with Ariane ain't his fault either. All right, even though she was following his leadership and doing whatever he wanted her to do. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.